Hello, everybody. Welcome to your Sunday episode of The Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable, and we got a jam-packed show for today. Like, there's so much information to cover. Hi, Jenny Lynn. It's a celebrity. There's a celebrity watching today. Celebrity journalist, TV host. It is news time, and we've got a lot to cover. I'm gonna tell you that right now. There's a lot. So if you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. And this episode is brought to you by Gatsby Trading Solutions. If you need somebody to trade stuff, anything, they can trade anything. They'll trade. You want to trade some drugs? We'll trade some drugs. Just kidding. They don't do that. So let's get right into it. Let's start with our statistics like we do every episode. Doge, they changed their website again. It's like 2 days in a row. So they're at $205 billion, which comes out to $1,273.29. Can't forget the 29 cents. That's important. The debt clock, they have not hit 600 billion yet. They're at 597 billion, which is $5,323 per taxpayer. They need to be cutting me a check for all the money that the Congress has stolen from us. Probably more than $5,000. Probably 20. 20 will shut me up. Cut me a check for $20,000. Gas prices, 2024, Joe Biden's gas prices were $3.30. Now AAA has it at $3.13, so we're back down. I think it was $2.65 in Locust Grove today. Mortgage rates, Jerome Powell had a dumbass attack again and raised them back up. So even though gas prices go down, everything goes down, the stock market goes up, Jerome Powell raises the mortgage rates like a moron. The guy needs fired like ASAP. He's messing with my emotions now. So Joe Biden's mortgage rates were averaging 6.7 for 2024. Now they're at 6.67. So we're back up. We were at 6.325. This moron. He's a complete moron. The whole country should be asking for his resignation. Trump approval rating is at 45.5. The stock market on Friday broke the all-time record. It closed at $44,946.12. It went over 50,000, it went over 45,000 on Friday, which broke the all-time record. So good job, market. Good job, Trump. So first topic today, as everybody probably knows, unless you live under a rock or you just don't care about the news, which some people don't. I know it's depressing, but I'm going to try to make it fun. So Trump and Putin met in Anchorage, Alaska on Friday for, they're calling a high-stakes summit at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. It's Air Force Base. So we're going to talk about what happened there. So if you watched it, you know, Putin's people had this big red carpet thing where Trump's just walking across the tarmac and waiting on Putin to come out in his red carpet. But that it is what it is. So what happened at this meeting? So the idea was that this was going to be a ceasefire talk. I think that's what they wanted to accomplish with this. So both leaders described the meeting as extremely productive, but there's no formal agreement reached. Trump emphasized that, and I think this is a fair way to characterize it. He said there's no deal until there's a deal. So a lot of things got talked about. They talked for over 3 hours. Putin echoed optimism, but blamed former President Biden for escalating the conflict, which we all know that's true. He completely botched that whole thing because of special interests, which we'll get into that here in a second. So some of the highlights from the meeting. So the summit lasted nearly 3 hours behind closed doors. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was not invited, which was the Europeans were so worried about it. We'll talk about that here in a minute too. Trump hinted at a follow-up meeting involving Zelensky and possibly European leaders, It was funny because Putin said, let's meet in Moscow. Zelensky ain't going to Moscow. Guaranteed he's not going to Moscow. It's just like Putin's not going to Kiev. So they're going to have to pick some kind of neutral place that's going to be, which the International Criminal Court has a warrant out for Putin, so it ain't going to be in Europe. They're probably going to have to meet somewhere like in New Delhi or something, some neutral site that nobody can get to each other. So Putin, he did receive a VIP treatment, got the red carpet, like I said. It's his first visit to the U.S. in over a decade. While the talks were happening, though, this is something that kind of bugs me a little bit about this. Like, I want to believe that there was some action, some things that got worked out, but while this was going on, Russia was launching drone strikes at the Ukraine, killing civilians. So, that's kind of concerning to me. Zelensky warned that concessions do not convince a killer. So, Zelensky's adding more fuel to the fire, which I don't believe anything he says either. So Trump released a video praising Putin and calling the summit a 10 out of 10 success despite no concrete outcome. However, I do believe they worked out a deal. I believe a deal got worked out that Putin is going to be okay with, but it's going to take Zelensky to agree to it. That's why they're not saying that a deal was made. They're saying it's not a deal until a deal is made. He suggested that Zelensky now holds the key to ending the war and offered to attend future negotiations. European leaders stressed that Ukraine must be part of any deal, rejecting any imposed settlement. Europe needs to just shut up and get out of the way. They're not doing anything that helps nothing. They just make things worse. So I went through and I found some of the responses by some of your key Democrat leaders. So the greatest of all time, Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat from New York, he's the House Minority Leader. He accused Trump of previously playing footsie with Putin. He framed the moment as a choice between appeasement or opposition to dictatorship. But he knows a lot about dictatorship, that's for sure. He reaffirmed bipartisan support for military aid to Ukraine. Naturally, he would. Senator Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut, who's always running his mouth, he called the summit a photo op that effectively legitimized Putin on the world stage, warned that excluding Ukrainian President Zelensky from talks made any peace deal impossible. No, it didn't. I'm going to explain why. He said the meeting signaled an all is forgiven by Trump, despite ongoing Russian aggression. So here's what's going to happen. Trump made a deal. Trump's a businessman. We have to remember that. Russia has financial problems. So obviously the angle is going to be financial. How can we reintegrate Russia back into the world economy? There's nothing that should prevent that. We should want Russia participating in the world economy. Yeah. Collins in the house. I missed you, buddy. Hoorah. So we have to remember that Russia should be eventually allowed to re-enter the global market. We can't just shut them out forever because it's just going to piss them off and they're just going to do more stuff. So for Trump to go in there and negotiate in that angle, which is what I believe he did, in exchange for just pulling out of Ukraine. Now, I do know that there's the Donbas region. There's that eastern part of the Ukraine region that that Putin wants. So there's probably going to be something to do with that as well. So we're going to have to wait and see when Trump meets with Zelensky, which is going to be tomorrow on Monday, and find out, what's going to actually go down and what's going to happen. So there's that. Now, if you watch Fox News, which I know a lot of you don't, but a lot of you do, I go half and half between Newsmax and Fox News. I got to know Fox News because I got to see what their narrative is. And they do have a narrative. But they always have General Jack Keane on. Now, if you watch Fox News and you see General Jack Keane on, you can almost guarantee he's going to try to convince viewers that Ukraine needs more weapons every single time. He's a huge Ukraine supporter. It's all he talks about. It's all he cares about. And so over time I've been like, why is this dude so obsessed with Ukraine? Like, why is he trying to warmonger this all the time? So I decided today, I was like, you know what? Let's find out. And so I did. Number one, General Keane has served on the board of directors for General Dynamics. Now, those of you who are my people from back home know about General Dynamics all too well, because we have General Dynamics in Lima, Ohio. We make the M1A1 Abram tanks there. So we're very well aware of what General Dynamics is. My uncle retired from there. So for General Keane to be vested and on their board for General Dynamics, his goal as a board member is to make more money for General Dynamics. That means sell more M1A1 Abram tanks. So who needs tanks, I wonder? Ukraine does. In 2016, he reportedly received $257,884 in compensation, including stock rewards for his role on that board. General Dynamics produces military equipment such as the Stryker combat vehicle, Abrams tank, Navy ships, all funded by U.S. defense budgets. So this is his motive. His motive is money. His motive is war. War makes him money. He also is the co-founder of Keane Advisory, LLC, a private equity firm, which is a war firm. Additionally, Keane has served as a senior advisor to Kohlberg Kravis Roberts, KKR, one of the largest private equity firms in the U.S., which has investments in defense and security sectors. Keane frequently appears on Fox News advocating for increased military spending, often without disclosing his ties to defense contractors. He has publicly supported funding for projects directly tied to General Dynamics, such as Navy ships and combat vehicles. So while there's no evidence of direct financial interest in Ukraine specifically, his investments in advisory roles in defense contracting do align with sectors that benefit from U.S. military aid and procurement, some of which is related to Ukraine. I know, Yeti, it's ridiculous. My dog's over there panting. I started talking about Jack Keane, and she started panting really heavily. She must not like him. Nobody does except for Fox News, apparently. So that's that. I wanted everybody to understand, like, when you watch Fox News and you see General Jack Keane on, that is his number one priority, is to advocate for war so he can make money. And there's going to be some Foxies on there that are going to go, well, you know, he's a former general. I don't care what his job title was. He's part of the military industrial complex that siphons money through the American taxpayers to keep people dying in other countries. That's the breakdown. So, next on the agenda, the World Economic Forum has announced new temporary leadership. Now, this is where things are going to get real hairy. We're going to talk about this for the majority of the rest of the show until I get to this Kentucky stuff I'm working on. As of August 15th of 2025, which was Friday, the World Economic Forum has appointed Larry Fink, CEO, he is CEO of BlackRock, and Andre Hoffman, who is vice chair of Roche Holding, as interim co-chairs of the World Economic Forum board. So it's a major shift in the company, or the organization. I'm sorry, it's an organization. Why does this matter? Why does anybody care what happens in the World Economic Forum? Why? Here's why. The move comes as the World Economic Forum seeks to redefine its global role. Hey, what's up, Squirrel? You're the big dog around here. I've been seeing your workout videos, bro. You're the big dog around here. I pay attention. You're hitting them PRs all the time. I'm about to hit some PRs this week, I think. See what happens. Oh, I got distracted by lifting. So there's rising geopolitical tensions. So in economic fragmentation, and it calls for more exclusive growth. So the World Economic Forum has figured out, like, our method's not working. It's not resonating globally. So we have to make some changes to get it to resonate globally amongst all countries. So Fink brings deep expertise in global finance and ESG investing, while Hoffman offers insights from the healthcare and sustainability sectors. So they've covered every sector that they can control people in mass. Now, I want you all to remember that as we dissect how important this is. This is a deep rabbit hole. I wrote an entire book about it, the Swiss effect. But we're seeing these things start to reemerge and play out over time. That's why it's important that we pay attention to these things. I seen this coming years ago, which is why I wrote my book. And Trump screwed it up twice on them now. And so now they're readjusting to get this reinvented. So here's a statement from Fink and Hoffman. They said, "We look ahead with clarity, purpose, and confidence in the forum's enduring mission. The need for a platform that brings together business, government, and civil society has never been greater." They're trying to put it all into one ball. Now, we're going to talk more about what that means. The leadership transition follows the conclusion of an internal investigation into World Economic Forum founder Klaus Schwab, who magically was cleared of wrongdoing, even though he was abusing his workers because the guy's a Nazi. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. If you do your research into Klaus Schwab, his dad worked for the Nazi Party. Then they got out of there. They went to Switzerland for a while. And then he went back to fulfill his dad went back to Germany to fulfill his Nazi Party duty. So there you go. Research that. Anybody who supports the World Economic Forum is supporting Nazi Party initiatives, period. So the leadership transition follows the conclusion of an internal investigation. We all know Klaus Schwab got in trouble. Well, I do. I pay attention to global things like that. Fink and Hoffman are expected to guide the forum through strategic reset, focusing on resilience, equitable prosperity, and public-private cooperation. So they're going to force this agenda again, what we just fought off from the Biden administration, because Biden was following the playbook. Don't get it twisted. Everybody wants to blame Obama and all this. Obama is just the used car salesman of this whole plan. They were all following this plan. So they're going to reset it, change the agenda just a tiny bit, and they're going to reset their 2030 clock to get it done, and they're going to re-implement it to the world through public and private corporation, which is why Larry Fink is the reason why all major companies in America started doing DEI, because Larry Fink is the largest asset management holder in the world. He's number one. BlackRock is number one at $12.5 trillion in assets is what he holds and manages. So he took the implementation of this European plan, which is called the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and he filtered it down through his umbrella and made everybody under it do it. Anybody who refused to do it, as stated in my book, he would basically stop promoting them. And eventually, when their stock dropped enough, he would dump them from the umbrella. So we have to understand that the second round of this is going to come, and they're going to try to do it after Trump's out of office. So I want to explain to you what the top 10 asset management companies in the world look like. Number one, BlackRock. Number two, Vanguard, which is $10.1 trillion. Number three, Fidelity Investments, $5.9 trillion. Number four, State Street. State Street was number three. Now they're number four. Fidelity just passed them. They're at $5.12 trillion. JP Morgan, $3.7 trillion. Goldman Sachs, $3.17 million. Capital Group, $2.8 million. Amundi, $2.6 million. Invesco, $1.9 million. Trillion. I'm sorry, we're still in trillions. I've been saying it wrong. Trillions. We're in the trillions. And 10th is Alliance Global Investors, $1.9 trillion. Now, you have to understand as viewers, the top 10, 8 of your top 10 are American asset management companies. Amundi is French, and Alliance Global Investors is German. So why is the American economy so important? Why do they have to infiltrate our economy? Because the global market is in America. This is not a big secret. We know this, but this is just proof how powerful our markets are to the world. This is why Donald Trump uses our economy to manipulate the globe. This is why the tariffs are working. This is why all these countries caved in to our tariff demands, because we own the global market. And that's how powerful it is. We are in the trillions. So everybody needs to understand that. This isn't it's not a fair game. We hold the cards. We can control the globe. Now, Europe is trying to infiltrate that. That is what the whole World Economic Forum is trying to do. And that's why they put Larry Fink in there, because he already has his hands in everything in America. Now he can directly implement anything he wants on our global markets. So get ready. It's going to happen again. BlackRock has significantly increased its exposure to defense-related firms. They own the defense contractors through its newly launched iShares Defense Industrial Active ETF, part of its $45 billion active ETF lineup. So anybody who knows anything about ETFs, that's what you're looking at. Now, let's look at their top defense holdings that BlackRock has. I'm highlighting BlackRock because they're the ones who run the show. GE Aerospace, they hold the majority shares of GE Aerospace. RTX Corporation, which they're a military technology company. Palantir Technologies, they're a defense AI and data company. Boeing, aircraft and weapons. Lockheed Martin, advanced weaponry. Honeywell, which is a defense systems contractor. Airbus SE, it's a European defense contractor. Safran SA, aerospace components. They own it all. Now, their global reach. So the fund includes companies from France, Germany, Japan, and the United Kingdom, all countries that want to control us. It also invests in cybersecurity and law enforcement tech, including firms like Fortinet and Accent Enterprises. So they're going to be able to tap into anything that they want in our country pretty soon. Now, BlackRock has connections to Oracle AI or Oracle and OpenAI, which is part of Trump's new system that he's trying to do with those companies. This is why I don't want this to happen. BlackRock does not directly own equity in OpenAI. They're a privately owned company. However, Abadeo Ogunlesi, there we go with these foreign names, man. They get me every single time. Why can't they be John Smith? He's a senior managing director at BlackRock. So this Abadeo, he's a senior managing director at BlackRock. He was appointed to AI's board of directors in January, this past January. So now BlackRock has one of their top managers on the board of OpenAI. Now, these are things people don't know unless you look into it, because they're not going to come out and tell you what all the links are. But I'm obsessed with trying to expose these companies, so that's why I pay attention. So Abadeo joined OpenAI's board following BlackRock's $12 billion acquisition of Global Infrastructure Partners, which Abadeo co-founded. So there's that link. That's how Abadeo got on BlackRock, because Larry Fink bought his company. Now, this suggests a strategic alignment, but not direct ownership or investment in OpenAI by BlackRock. As we know, Sam Altman, who's from what I believe is responsible for the murder of Suchir Balaji in San Francisco, and is a crook. Sam Altman's a crook and a alleged murderer, alleged by me and Suchir's family. So now let's look at Oracle. So BlackRock does hold shares in Oracle, though its various ETFs and mutual funds, through its various ETFs and mutual funds. As of recent filings, BlackRock is among the top 10 institutional investors in Oracle, holding tens of millions of shares through iShares, through both their iShares ETF accounts and the BlackRock Equity Dividend Fund. Now, these holdings are part of BlackRock's broader exposure to a large cap tech companies. That's what they want to do. So let's look at Larry Ellison and Sam Altman's involvements in the World Economic Forum. because now BlackRock pretty much runs that now. Ellison participated. Larry Ellison, he's the Oracle co-founder. And he's one of the richest people in the world. Larry Ellison participated in World Economic Forum related discussions, notably in Davos of 2025, which was just in January, where he joined high-profile panel with Sam Altman, who is the co-founder of OpenAI, and Masayoshi Son to announce the Stargate AI initiative, which is what Trump is promoting. It's a $500 billion joint venture to build AI infrastructure, which is going to be very difficult to do. Anybody who knows anything about how the energy grid works knows this is going to be a big task. Ellison has also been vocal at other global summits like World Government Summit in Dubai, advocating for centralized national data systems powered by Oracle to advance AI governance. That's key. Larry Ellison wants to run the data of every single human being on this planet through Oracle. That's what he wants to do. Now they try to give you all these fancy explanations for it to try to trick you, but in summary, and to put it in layman's terms, that's what he wants to do. And so he's not listed as a formal World Economic Forum member or board participant. Ellison's presence at Davos and his influence in global tech policy discussions tie him closely to World Economic Forum's ecosystem, which means that Oracle's core beliefs in their agenda aligns with the World Economic's 17 Sustainable Development Goals that they want to implement on everybody. Now, let's go to Sam Altman. Sam Altman has a dedicated profile on the World Economic Forum website confirming his formal association. He's been a featured speaker at multiple WEF events, including Davos 2024 and 2025, where he discussed AI safety, trust, and global governance. Global governance is a huge term that they all use. Global governance, one government. His participation reflects World Economic Forum's emphasis on shaping ethical and inclusion AI development, aligning with OpenAI's. What's up, G bro? I see you. So it all aligns with OpenAI's mission as well. So when we go down, I told you this is a lot of information to go through today because all this stuff links together. And if you read my book, you already know because I already wrote about it. These are just the updates of what's happening now. So what is global governance in the context of AI? Global governance and artificial intelligence refers to the international coordination of policy, standards, and ethical frameworks to ensure AI technologies are developed and deployed in ways that are safe, fair, and beneficial across borders. They want one system running through the whole globe. It's about managing a technology that knows no national boundaries. That's wrong because every country has their own set of principles. If we allow this railroad to go everywhere, who's to say that North Korea's principles aren't going to be influenced in the United States? I don't want North Korea's influence here, and North Korea don't want our influence there. So this is going to create a problem in the geopolitical spectrum that's going to be an issue for everyone. So key goals of global AI governance: safety and risk management. They want to try to prevent misuse, which that's a whole other different definition. Like autonomous weapons, surveillance abuse. They want to develop risk assessment and life cycle monitoring systems. They want to know how we live. They want to know everything we do. They want to know everything we buy, everything we watch, everything we think. This is a violation of our privacy as Americans. Ethical standards. They want to promote fairness, transparency, and accountability. Align AI with human rights and democratic values as outlined by the OECD and UNESCO. You're welcome, Jenny Lynn. I figured you would like this one. So what does that mean ethically? It means that we will have to abide by the AI's ethical standards, not by our ethical standards. This will be what AI sets ethical standards as. That's right, Bonnie. You tell them. Bonnie's boots on the ground. She's a warrior. So also there's inclusive development. So they want to bridge the digital divide between developed and developing nations. Like some of these countries, they don't want Western civilization. That's one thing that I agree with Vladimir Putin on. Vladimir Putin does not want his country influenced by the dark deeds of Western culture. It's a problem with him. He doesn't like it. And there's other countries all around the globe that do not want it. And they're going to force it on them. That's why Europe spends so much time trying to colonize Africa. They're still doing it. It's all right, Bonnie. It's all right. I got your back. So they want to support AI capacity building in the global south. So they're trying to go to these underdeveloped countries and try to put them all on with the European agenda. So the cooperation part of it, they want to harmonize international standards. They want everybody to be on the same standard. What that standard is, we don't know. They want to encourage collaboration through joint labs, shared safety platforms, and educational programs. So let me tell you something. The World Economic Forum and their 17 Sustainable Development Goals are the reason why our education systems in America suck, because they use social emotional learning that was developed by the 17 Sustainable Development Goals in Europe that we use here in the United States. 90% of our school boards implemented social emotional learning. That's why our kids are all screwed up and they don't know how to think for themselves and they're just an emotional wreck all the time. So they want to implement this same program globally. Can you imagine the amount of neurotransmitters in the human brain that are going to get triggered because of this system globally? You're going to have mass chaos everywhere, just like what we have here. Every time a kid gets an idea in his mind, he goes crazy with it. And we have all these protests and everything from all these generational craziness that have been brought up through social emotional learning. It started when I was in school, to be honest with you. So sustainability and peace. They want to use AI to address global challenges like climate change. We've heard enough of that. Resource management and conflict resolution. So we're just going to set two world leaders down here, Putin and Zelensky. Now, we need you guys to listen to the AI system because they're going to figure out your problem for you. Yeah, good luck with that. So, I need to scroll. So they're saying that AI is transforming everything from healthcare to warfare without global governance. They're saying there is going to be no global governance of the AI system. The AI system will govern itself. Yeah, I really like that. Exactly right, Jenny Lynn. Problems they created for us. These are manifested problems that are human created. So they want fragmented rules that could lead to regulatory. That's what's going to happen. They're going to have fragmented rules that can lead to regulatory chaos because not everybody's going to get on board with this. There's going to be powerful actors that might dominate AI development, leaving others behind because it's just like a polygraph. A polygraph is only effective to the objectivity of the examiner. So however the examiner reads the polygraph, that's how it's determined. There's no right or wrong. And so when we go to the AI system, it's going to be subject to the objectivity of the programmer. So you're right, Colin. Watch the Terminator again because we're about to be in the Terminator times. I'm going to try to be like RoboCop. I need like robot parts. That's what I need. I'm going to go to Russia and get some robot parts. You know, you can get a ligament transplant from a grizzly bear in Russia. It's a big secret nobody's supposed to know, but I know because I watch documentaries. Can you imagine having a grizzly bear ligament? I could probably dunk. I bet I could be in the NBA with one of those. I'm not even going to talk. You know how I could kick people really hard. I could get back in the cage and just kick people. So there's also going to be bias because I've already found it in the AI system. The AI systems are left-leaning. They have a left-leaning bias. And they also like to suppress key information, as I've talked about on my show before. So I don't trust the AI system in research because if you don't know exactly the specific questions you need to ask, you're never going to get there. You can get them. Go to Russia, Bonnie. You get some grizzly bear knees. So I don't trust the system. Now, here is more interesting information. AI has immense potential to accelerate progress across all sustainable development goals, all 17 of them. This is what AI is claiming, but only if it's developed and deployed responsibly, inclusively, and ethically. So here we go. That's DEI right there. They want to DEI everything. As the UN Global Compact puts it, AI is a powerful tool to accelerate progress, but it must be intentionally designed to serve humanity. Which humanity? Because nobody's going to agree. So let's talk about how this all works as far as the government. So there's an organization that's global called the Socialist International. It's a global alliance of social democrat parties, and they have endorsed the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and align with its values of equality, sustainability, and solidarity. In terms, the Sustainable Development Goals is a socialist ideology. It's created for socialism to create control and dependency upon the government, the one government. Socialist thinkers and organizations often support the SDGs because they emphasize public investment in health and education and infrastructure, global health care, global infrastructure, global education, redistribution of resources to reduce inequality, environmental regulation and sustainable production models. So they want to cram the green energy crap down our throats again. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals are not inherently socialist, but they do reflect values often associated with social democracy and progressive governance, such as equality, inclusion, and environmental stewardship. So the 17 Sustainable Development Goals were created by the United Nations and adopted by 193 member states in 2015, as stated in my book. They aim to address global challenges like poverty, inequality, climate change, and peace through international cooperation, not ideological enforcement. So they were created by the United Nations. All that nonsense. So why? Who are the socialist countries in Europe? Spain, Portugal, Iceland, and Greenland. Who are the social democratic countries in Europe? Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, France, New Zealand. Well, New Zealand's not in Europe. And Canada is also a social democracy. So is New Zealand. So those are the countries. Now, we have to look at the Socialist Party is not called the Socialist Party over there. Well, one of them's not. They have the Labor Party, which is a super left-leaning freak party, just kind of like how the progressives are here. Those countries are Australia, New Zealand is considered that, United Kingdom. Those are your countries there that are labor-ran governments. So should we do anything Europe's doing? They're ran by a bunch of socialists. And if you read my book, The Swiss Effect, it'll tell you every world organization in Switzerland is ran by either a socialist, a communist, or a Marxist. So this is what Larry Fink is about to cram down our throats as Americans, that they're going to expect us to just bow to the knee and kiss the ring. I'm not doing it. They're going to have to scrape my dead body off the pavement. I'm not doing it. Now, that's enough of that. Now, I'm going to give you guys an update on my Kentucky stuff. So I've been looking into the murder of Lecter County judge, whose name is Kevin Mullins. Now, this made national news. Everybody has at least heard about it. The sheriff who went in and shot the judge in the judge's chambers. So we're going to go through that. The sheriff's name was Mickey Steins. His real name's Sean, but he goes by Mickey. He was the former sheriff of Lecter County. He had just retired. So this happened on September 19th of 2024. There is, you can actually get on the internet and watch the footage of him shooting the judge. Everything's right there. Everybody's broke it down. Every social media person has their opinion on it. So the same day that Stein shot him, he surrendered without incident right after it happened. But Stein's basically he went out to lunch with some people along with the judge. They went to the local bar and grill and had lunch together. And apparently he had told the judge that, hey, I need to talk to you when we get back. And they did a bunch of interviews with the staff that went, and they all said, man, Mickey Steins was acting really weird. Like all day he was carrying a firearm. The serial number was filed off the firearm. So he knew he was going to shoot the judge. He knew. And now you might say, well, why? Why did this happen? There's a lot of really creepy reasons why this happened. So as of October 1st of 2024, Steins appeared in court for arraignment. He was visibly emotional during his testimony. August 15th, which was Friday, he had another court hearing. He went to court. There's no ruling yet on his bond, or there's no trial date. So this has been going on for some time, and we're not really getting anywhere. I know why, or my theory as to why, but let's talk about it a little bit more. So Steins' attorney says that Steins was experiencing extreme emotional disturbance and acted in the heat of passion, which could reduce the charge to manslaughter. That's what they're trying to get. They know Steins is going to do some time for murder, but they're trying to get it reduced down to manslaughter because it was in the heat of the moment, which it could be kind of considered kind of like a crime of passion. So the prosecutor's position is Steins is charged with murder of a public official, which is a capital offense under the Kentucky law, and prosecutors argue he's not entitled to bail. So the bond request that the defense lawyer is asking for is $50,000 cash or property bond, which for Mickey Steins will be easy to come up with. He's claiming Steins is not a flight risk, and no decision on that has been made as of yet. So the relationship and motive. So Steins and Judge Mullins, they've known each other for years. Like Mickey Steins has been in law enforcement for a long time. The judge has been the judge for a long time. They personally know each other. They know each other's families. They just had lunch together right before the shooting happened, like literally right before the shooting happened. The direct motive remains unclear, though emotional disturbance is the center of the defense. Both sides have to submit further arguments on some of these tabled issues by September 2nd. So we're getting close to having some more information. The sitting judge, which they had to take Mickey Steins and get him out of the county. So he's still in Leslie County in their jail, which this happened in Letcher County. I probably didn't say that right. Letcher County. Bonnie would know. That's her neck of the woods. But I think it's Letcher County. But he's sitting in Leslie County to kind of for his own safety. You know, you don't want to put a sheriff in the county jail that he's the sheriff of. So Judge Christopher Cochran, serving as a special judge, will then decide on the bond and potentially set a trial date. So there are theories. There's a lot of theories. I spent my day looking through all these theories. So one theory suggests that Steins may have discovered his daughter's phone number in Judge Mullins' phone, which if you watch the video, Steins is sitting across from the judge. The judge is sitting at his desk. Steins is sitting across, and he pulls out his phone, Steins does, and then he asks for the judge's phone. The judge reaches in his pocket, pulls out his phone, hands it to Sheriff Steins. Steins looks through, makes a phone call on the judge's phone, and we're assuming, because there's no audio, just video, we're assuming that Steins called his own daughter from the judge's phone, because I think what happened was he tried to call his own daughter from his phone and she didn't answer. So he used the judge's phone to call. She did answer, or so whoever it was answered. So it shows Steins checking his phone and attempting to contact his daughter from both his and Mullins' devices, which I'm pretty sure that's the case because they know what phone calls. They got both phones. So Steins and Mullins were close friends who had lunch together. We know that. The defense arguing that there may have been a personal betrayal or emotional shock that triggered the breakdown. There's more information. So there's also a civil suit that is getting brought to light more and more as time goes by. So a deputy was sued for trying to make a deal with this woman, Sabrina Adkins, that was under arrest in exchange for sexual favors. In exchange for the deputy would go and say, hey, just give her house arrest. And this act occurred in Judge Mullins' chambers. So then as they interviewed Sabrina Adkins, it come to find out that there was a lot of this going on, and there's video recordings of all of it. And Judge Mullins did participate. So there's this, and this is the case like all over Kentucky. There's all of these like sex scandals everywhere amongst their elites. So this is part of that problem. It's part of the pattern. The pattern exists. If you look, you'll find it. Every county I've been in, and I've looked at 9 counties now, all 9 of them have this same thing going on. It's just at different levels. Like, is it an exchange for crimes, or is it child trafficking rings, or is it prostitution rings? It's happening in every county. So that's a theory that's out there, that this had something to do with that. Steins expressed a lot of worry for his wife and daughter's safety. So I'm not real sure about that. Like, that's one question I have, is who is he scared of? Who was he concerned about? Who was going to go after them? So I'm hoping we'll get some answers on that soon. Another theory is that there was domestic violence in the Steins home, that maybe Steins' wife confided in the judge, because he was not living at the home with his wife and daughter, from what I understand. That may not be true, but that's from what I understand. They all weren't living together, that there may have been a domestic violence issue. Steins' lawyer, his last name's Bartley, he's out of Pikeville, I believe, but he has made a statement that said there's things in the deposition that the court does not want to get out. So I believe that. I 100% believe that. It probably is Weddle. Let's blame everything on Weddle. He seems to get really upset about everything. So his sister especially. Let's blame everything on Weddle. He's going down anyway. He's about to bankrupt the city of London, and all the Weddle people are going, wow, why is everybody picking on Weddle? You're about to be bankrupt because of this guy. That's why he's got to get out. Anyway, Steins' lawyer said that there's things that the courts don't want out. And I think that's why they're snail pacing this. They're trying to kind of downplay all of this, because they know that Steins is going to go to trial, and all this is going to get put on public record, and they don't want it. They're going to try to figure out a way to get Steins to take a deal. And the only deal that he should accept is manslaughter. He's going to do some kind of time. But I just think there's a lot more to this story, and Steins has the ability and the knowledge, and is probably in the know of everything. It probably has evidence and specifics. So this is something that I think the courts are tiptoeing around. They're being very careful of, because I think what Steins knows implicates a lot of people in high places. So, and this judge, that Mullins, he is a appointed judge of the Bashirs. So that should tell you all you need to know. If the Bashirs like him, he's crooked. He's super crooked. So, but that's that, and I'll keep you guys updated on how that kind of plays itself out. There's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, so I'm going to be paying close attention to that trial. Hopefully all the AI stuff made sense to you. In a nutshell, they're going to use AI to control us and make us be a bunch of socialist zombies that just adhere to anything that the world government wants us to do. So that B word again. Don't say the B word. But that's my show for the day. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll be back on Wednesday, as long as I'm not traveling. But I'll be back on Wednesday. Have a good Sunday. God bless everyone. I'm out. Peace.